welcome to Open Source Friday. If you're not familiar with this stream, it's a weekly stream that I do on Fridays, chatting with open source maintainers and core contributors about their projects. This helps us get exposure to projects that we could possibly contribute to, or even learn about how we can get started in open source ourselves, whether it's as a contributor or a maintainer. Today, I'm super excited because we're going to be chatting with the creators and the developer advocate of Million.js. Before I ask them to introduce themselves, I want to say hi to the chat because I do see a lot of people who are excited. Someone said exciting. So yeah, that's how I feel too. People are saying, what is Million.js? People, tell me where you're calling in from or tuning in from, I mean to say. I see people from Lisbon, people from where else? Where else are you at? Someone says, isn't React outdated? We'll talk about that maybe. Someone from Brazil as well, people from India. So super excited to chat with you all. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Aiden and Toby to be able to go ahead and introduce themselves.
Sure. Hey, I'm Aiden. I'm the creator of Million.js. Just a little bit about me. I'm currently in college as a freshman at the University of Washington. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I love bananas.
Love it. What about you, Toby?
So I'm Tobiloba. I'm a developer advocate. I'm the developer advocate at Million.js, and I'm currently still in college, so I'm going to my third year now as a computer science student in University of Lagos. And fun thing about me, I like watching movies a lot, preferably Bollywood and Bollywood.
Nice. No, Bollywood and Nollywood have the best movies ever. And okay, Aiden, I wish I could say I love bananas too, but I like banana flavored things, not really banana. Okay, so one thing I really just want to ask off the top is I was under the impression that you were a high school student when you made Million.js. Have you just moved into college recently?
Yeah, I'm starting college in a little bit less than a month.
Congrats.
I started Million probably literally, I was right before summer of sophomore year. And I was just I'm so bored. I want to make something with code. And so I first published Million.js on GitHub in May.
Wow. Okay. So in your sophomore year in May, imagine, I wish I was bored in high school and made something like this. I'm going to quickly, before we talk about exactly what Million is, I want to just quickly just chat with the people in the comments really quickly. A lot of them did start saying where they're tuning in from. So we got people from Ukraine, Ghana, Vietnam, Nigeria, Netherlands, so all over the world. Love it. Someone said outdated React Next.js. That's the future right here. Trust me. And someone said they love bananas, so they share your interest in bananas. All right, cool. So why don't you let us know what exactly Million is?
Sure. Million is essentially a drop-in replacement for React, but specifically, you can identify specific components that you want to optimize. So what it looks like from the developer side is you install Million, you put in your compiler, and it does a bunch of funky magic that automatically optimizes for you. But that's probably not what you're looking for. It's more so essentially it figures out what components in your React application are slow, and then it automatically optimizes it. And what I mean by that is it figures out all that like JSX and HTML stuff, and it makes that really, really fast. React does that really, really slow, and it does that through something called the virtual DOM. We implement a very fast virtual DOM that makes rendering the JSX really fast.
Wow. Okay. So I'm imagining that when you load a page, these components are popping up really fast because of Million, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So I'm curious, and I guess this is going to be a question for both of you. What inspired you? I know you said you're bored, but what inspired you to say, okay, I'm going to make React faster? And then for Toby, what drew you to this project? Why did you want to get involved?
Yeah. I've always found technology really powerful. I grew up without a computer until fifth grade when the school like gave out like school issue Chromebooks, and so I felt a lot of power or control just be able to express my feelings and thoughts through technology. And so that was definitely like the motivator through that. Um, I was specifically just inspired when um, my grandma has a 2015 iPad, and if you know anything about those iPads, is that they're so slow. Like whether you want to load TikTok or Chinese Douyin, it's like good luck trying to load that stuff. And so I just recognize that like, okay, why are the websites we create today not accessible to people like my grandma? And my grandma isn't alone. For millions around the world, it's the same, right? Because the average median device is $100 Android. And so my goal with Million is to create a library that allows developers to create applications that are accessible for all.
Wow, I love that that was the inspiration for you, and like thank you for telling us that. I love that. What about you, Toby? What made you say, you know what, I want to get involved with this project? This is awesome.
Yeah, funny story. And yeah, I just wanted to point out before like starting that whenever Aiden says he was bored and he wanted to, and he just built Million, it always gets me every time because I'm like, because, but yeah, to answer the question, how I got involved with Million actually did start this year, because I found out I was just scrolling through, I was just like looking at my daily dev extension. There's this extension daily dev, so I just scrolling through it to see daily feed for like tech news and stuff. So now I saw um virtual DOM makes React up to 70% faster. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. Let me check it out. So I went to check it out and I read the article. Essentially, it was from the docs though. It took me to the docs. So I read the docs and I went through it and I set up a Bit app and I tried to test it out to like with a simple counter app just to see how different it was. And I used it with Bit. I remember then because I was just trying to, okay, how does this make sense to me? But then when I tested it out, and I was wowed and marveled. I was like, oh, this is crazy. So I was like, I have to reach out to whoever did this. No matter how big they are, I'll make sure I get to them. So then I went to I essentially saw the Discord community linked on the was it on the repo or on the website. I went to the Discord community. Then it wasn't very big then, so I just went there and I pinged Aiden in his DMs and it was very like nice and he responded. And I was like, I would like to set up coffee chats just to like discuss what this project is about and try to understand it. So then that was pretty much it from there. From the coffee chats, we pretty much had a nice conversation and here I am today, dev advocating for Million. So that was pretty much it. It was like was it February or something? I can't remember. It was earlier this year though. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I think both of y'all's stories are good lessons to people. Like for Toby, you found something that you thought was cool and you were not afraid to reach out and network with the creator of that project. A lot of times people are like, "Oh no, I'm not going to." But that's a great way to like just build your skills, get to know more people and see what else is out there. And then on Aiden's side, you saw a problem and you were like, "I'm going to get it. I'm going to make sure I can fix that." I have one more follow-up question before we get into the demo, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of other like comments in the chat. We have Nick who's saying hi to us. I know him from Twitter, and I think y'all do too. Also, Learner0418 said all of our names. They say, hey, Toby and Aiden and Rizal. People are just excited. They said Million to the world. And there are people in the chat, and I think we'll get into this soon enough, but people are saying like they want to see the difference in performance. Does it only work for React? So we'll go back to these a little bit later on. And someone said they feel very inspired by your story from some previous streams that you've been on. So that's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So my only other question before we get into the demo is how did you even figure out how to build something like this? Because I feel like if I sat down and I was like, I'm going to build a virtual DOM that makes React faster, that sounds very overwhelming. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, honestly, it is overwhelming. I learned pretty slow, and so it took me like 4 months to build like a basic virtual DOM. And like to be honest, you could probably like any engineer could probably go like on a weekend for a couple hours and build it. So I'm like super slow at building things, and so yeah, it's definitely overwhelming. It just takes a lot of time and persistence, like with anything, right? Like as long as you take a lot of time to do it, you'll be okay.
Gotcha. So you took patience, and then maybe like did you watch tutorials, read blogs, read articles, how to build a virtual DOM? Did you just take it from your own experience? Just curious.
Oh yeah, for sure. I went through the whole tutorial hell and also
Okay.
all the way back.
Okay, I was just like, wow, maybe you had like this knowledge beforehand. Okay, so I do want to, if you're ready, move into the demo so we can really see how this works, how it works in action. Is that okay with you?
Yes, awesome. Let me go to the demo page real quick. So a lot of people have been asking, what's like the performance difference with React to Million? And as a preface, this is a benchmark. Benchmarks do not reflect real world performance, but we're going to play with this anyway. So here's like a large table with a bunch of numbers. And when you click on the number, it will update. We have a radar here that like allows us to kind of visualize the lag on the page whenever I click it. And so when I click React, it kind of dies, right? Like my computer is probably lagging right now because of that. But when we switch to Million, and I really hope this demo is going to work. It's a lot better than what it was before. And so on synthetic benchmarks, it's around 70% faster. Here, it may be significantly more because we're using like a pretty large benchmark. And so like the obvious question is like, okay, what if I use React Fiber? Isn't it going to be better? And yes, it is like a lot less green. But notice how I'm like quickly clicking the mouse, but the increment like number is not going up very fast. And so React made the trade-off in React 16. In React 16, React made the trade-off of essentially using concurrent mode. And concurrent mode or Fiber essentially it's like paying a mortgage, right? With normal React, you pay the entire house in cash because you're rich, and you know what, that leaves you in a lot of debt. But with React Fiber, you pay it out in like over like 30 years or something like that. And so there's trade-offs to each. But with Million, sometimes you don't need to think about those trade-offs because it already is so fast.
Interesting. Wow, I learned a lot just from this. This is a really great demo, just seeing how it increments over time. All right, I'm going to quickly go into some of the questions that people may have. And I guess a lot of people were asking, like, oh, does it only work for React? Have you only sped it up for React? What about Angular and other front-end frameworks?
Yeah, mainly for React, partially because React uses a virtual DOM and partially because React is one of the slowest libraries out there. So by necessity.
Yeah, this is awesome. People are excited. They're saying like divide. Oop, that's not the right one. I wanted to highlight. They're saying divide and conquer, and people are saying, wait, what? And very impressive. Someone asked, React has some problems updating using npm to fix slow problems. I'm not sure I fully understand that question. Do you?
I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. Jorge, feel free to like clarify with us what you mean, but just so you know, this is particularly solving the problem of rendering components on the virtual DOM. So like this provides a much faster virtual DOM. People said just take my wallet from you. Okay, cool. My question, let me just see a few more. Oh, people are comparing this to like SSR with Next.js. Do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, SSR essentially, you put the HTML on the page before you put the HTML on the page. So with normalized phase, you have to load everything at once. With SSR, it doesn't. This technically works with SSR. It's a little bit buggy for Million, but what this does, it essentially like it fundamentally improves how we render components. SSR puts it on the page before you load it or when you load it, and then this it just makes the components faster. So loading, rendering, whatever, right? That like whenever you click a button, it'll just render faster.
Great. Cool. And then someone's asking, and you know, I've never used Vue, so I don't know if Vue has a virtual DOM, but they're asking, do you have any future work in place for Vue? And Toby's smiling, so maybe.
We don't currently, but it'd be cool to have a Vue extension as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why were you smiling and laughing, Toby? Do you have any thoughts on this? Is this something you want for the future too?
Yeah, I mean, like Vue is nice, and it's a very amazing front end framework. But I don't think it's as expensive as it doesn't have that much depth as Aiden said as React,
Yeah.
because with Vue you already get like a nice framework that is optimal to a certain extent and is good and fast. But like optimizing that again just like would just be unnecessary overhead, because you just be like optimizing something that might is potentially already like fast. So yeah, I was just saying like Vue is not as React is not in terms of like the performance overhead or depth rather, like Vue is not as bad as React essentially. That's my point.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a really good point that React does have more debt. And someone was asking, like, what's the best use case for Million? Is it something that you advise they just put it in every React app, or
Hmm.
are there certain situations?
Yeah, we have two APIs. We have a manual and automatic API. Manual, you have to make some decision making, right? So for example, we use the manual API here. We put like our API, like you use specific APIs to make certain components faster, specifically UI and data heavy components. But with automatic mode, our goal is to allow React developers to not make decisions, right? They don't have to make decisions and understand the trade-offs of like APIs. And so our goal is it can be deployed in every React application, not because it can, but because it can figure out what components can be optimized and like what makes sense to be optimized. Um, so I would definitely check out automatic mode in your current application. But if you just have like a really slow app and you're just rendering a lot of stuff, definitely check out our manual mode.
Awesome. Okay. I don't know if I could put you on the spot for this. So tell me and be like, nah, never mind. But is it possible if we could see how someone will install it? There are people
Yeah.
asking. I'm assuming it's an NPM package, but people are asking.
Let me just go to the website. It's pretty easy. You just kind of go to our installation.
Okay.
You install Million,
Okay.
then you install it in your as a plugin, and then you're done essentially. But like you can also have some like customization if you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it for automatic mode. It's just like basically like less than a 10-minute setup if your Wi-Fi is slow.
No, yeah, I love how the documentation is really laid out. And then I even love how you've implemented, like, here's how you would do it with Next.js or Astro or all these other, like, very popular or common frameworks that people might be leveraging. There's a lot of questions here. Oh my gosh. Okay, so, someone's asking, how does
Mhm.
Million, can you elaborate on how Million detects slow components?
Yeah, we have a compiler, so we're able to do static analysis on, like, for example, if you take a component, essentially we grab the JSX, like the return statement, and we see, okay, if this has a lot of like, if the ratio of elements compared to some dynamic stuff is high, so like there's a lot of static content and there's low dynamic content, then that means it's probably a good candidate for optimization. We do have I want to publish like a blog article on this, like just like, okay, how do we do this? But our source code is completely open. You can see how we figure out the threshold. It's really easy. We just like, let me find a good example. If I go here, so something like this. Uh, let's do this one. So something like this, it would see like, okay, there's a static node here, there's a static node here, there's a static node here, there's a dynamic um, component here. And so if the ratio of static components is higher than the dynamic stuff, then it's like and it passes a certain threshold, then it's like, we're going to optimize this. And it tells you how much it's been optimized. So like in your console.log, in your like terminal, it would say like app was optimized by 46%. We estimate 46% optimization.
I love that. Awesome. Okay, and that makes a lot more sense. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some of my questions and also ask some of the questions in the comments just for time's sake, because people are really interested and excited about how you created this. But I also want to get into some of the like open source questions as well, and I'll pose these to both of you. So as maintainers of this project, or even Toby as a developer advocate, what challenges have you encountered? And whoever wants to go first with the challenges. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Aiden should go first. I was like,
Okay.
go first. Yeah.
No, I think this is something Toby can relate a lot with as well, and you can talk about it after if you want. It's okay. Sometimes it's very overwhelming. Like there's sometimes like one day we'll get like 10 issues, and it's just like, how do we? First of all, like you have to triage the issue. Like every issue is like very not trivial to solve. You have to triage it. You have to talk with the person, make sure they don't ghost the issue. They have to give a reproduction. Someone needs to make a PR. The PR needs to go through, needs to be reviewed, and it needs to be shipped. And it's like that whole process is really difficult, especially for us. Like we have a very small engineering team. Like maybe like honestly, it's mostly just me, but like we have like 3 or 4 other people who work on the code base, and then Toby helps with the community stuff. So Toby, you can speak more on that, but oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming sometimes.
Sounds like a lot of work. Yeah, Toby, what are the challenges you have? And my bad for interrupting you earlier.
Oh no, it's totally fine. Yeah, my challenges are sort of like well, I don't face bugs or engineering challenges because I don't write like core code most times because I don't touch like code base to tweak code. Maybe I've actually only done that once when I was trying to update the packages then. But yeah, back to the question. My own challenges are that I face like working day to day on Million are sort of like community related challenges because perspective is for like perspective to be more specific. Because for example, I know I've like there's a very active React community here locally where I stay. So yeah, in Nigeria. So I try to like now picture this. I'm trying to have a conversation with the developer that uses React very well, and I'm trying to tell you that oh yeah, React is very bad when it comes to you building bigger apps. So your pages load very slowly. Now I have this thing that can make your pages load super fast and will improve first contentful paints like FCP or something, and like make your components load faster. Now the developer will be like, okay, are you telling me my application does not work as it is now, or are you telling me that I can make my application faster? So that is pretty much my own dilemma. But like I'm getting over it is pretty much me, which is why I like where we are headed towards now. We have things like auto mode because if you have things like that can help you achieve things like that, like help you achieve things as like faster loading. You need good DX, which is where automatic mode comes in. And the auto mode and even the block and the manual mode we had before like was already good DX because all you had to do was wrap the component with the block and yeah, it's already using Million. So good DX always helps overcome that. So if you tell somebody that yeah, you just have to like put your compiler and then do auto true or something, and then you just set it up, and they'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I can use that or something. So yeah, good DX helps overcome that, and then me preaching it makes the my own work easier because I can now relate and tell somebody else that okay, this is all you have to do. You don't have to do much. Just do this in your application, like, and the application is faster. So so yeah, and then managing PRs issues and stuff like that. Yeah, you have to follow up because we have like even this questions tab in the Discord and questions channel in the Discord where people come to post their bugs, and I try to repro them because if it's beyond my power, which sometimes it is, or most times it is, I just like tag it and I'll be like, oh, Aiden, you should check this out and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much like it's very fun, challenging, and exciting, and it's one of the best things that happened to me this year. I'm going to say that.
Oh, I love that. That's really great. Yeah, so it sounds like for Aiden, managing those PRs and issues, because essentially you're an engineer and you're an engineering manager. That's a lot for you. And then for Toby, it's the whole thing of like convincing people to use the product, the job of a developer advocate, especially since this is maybe more of a newer tool that people haven't heard of. But like you said, because it's such an easy developer experience and you don't have to set this and that and all of that up, people are a little bit more willing. There's a comment that said, shout out to Toby, man's light years ahead. So just letting you know. All right, so there's actually an interesting question here, and there's two interesting questions, and one of them is saying like, have you considered asking if you can merge it into the core React project so that auto install is smooth?
Yeah, so I was talking to Ryan Carniato on a different stream, but it was interesting. React 16 marked kind of like a cornerstone. It was like a kind of either React could have gone our direction or concurrent mode. So they chose concurrent mode because of some decisions. And then we implement this thing. So this is like what React could have been essentially. It's difficult because React is also working on their own compiler and their own like performance features. So I doubt it will be implemented into core. But this is, I mean, the current like integration process is like pretty easy already. If you like, it's pretty hard to not fail the integration now. So I think it's okay that that's the case.
Gotcha. Yeah, they have their own roadmap that they're going forward with, and yours solves another problem, and that's okay. There's could be multiple ways to solve the same problem. There's a lot of people or a lot of questions I've seen about like people asking, can I implement in the middle of a project? Is it okay if the project's already completed? Like, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you can implement it any size of a React project.
Awesome. And then there's another question on, does it make your components more verbose? Does it change how the component's written out?
No, not necessarily. Yeah. You don't have to.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. My other question to you is, I talked about what was challenging for you, or you all talked about what's challenging for you, but what's been rewarding? What makes you so happy that you're leading this project?
Yeah, for me, it's honestly, I don't think like I've been doing this for like a couple months now, and it's like I don't know if I can do anything else. It's I remember working like at a contract, like a part-time contract job, and I was so bored. Like every single time I like was working on their code base, I wanted to work on Million. And the reason is because I just really like seeing people like kind of be happy using, and not like be happy using, just like be able to feel validated based on other people like using the thing and being able to benefit from it. And I don't know if I could see myself doing anything else for the short term.
I love that. You're like seeing your vision go live and people are like, I'm getting so much like help from this, so much benefit, rather than you going to work on someone else's vision and you don't get that transparency on like, are people liking what I created? Are they hating it? I don't know. What about you, Toby?
Yeah, with working on Million for me is pretty much I get a lot of things, but basically like benefits as far feeling happy because it's one thing to actually interact with somebody that tells you I tried this thing out, and then especially when we have new releases, like for example in the questions that I mentioned earlier, somebody probably had a bug. I remember this guy, it was like 2 days ago, so he had a bug, but then Aiden made a hot fix in like a day before, the day after he posted it, and then he fixed the bug, and then he told him to like test it out now with like the beta release that we had, and then he was like, oh yeah, it's fixed now and it works, and that pretty much just like gave me, oh wow, like the feeling is unmatched, and because you can't really things like that become once in a lifetime, and tech is pretty much all tech, like we are in tech, we're all in tech, most of us here in the comments are in tech, but like what actually does make you feel like you're giving back, or like providing value to someone else. That is what makes me enjoy doing this, because I feel like most people out there deserve applications that are better, for one. And I'm very big on accessibility. So this kind of like keys into my goals and my principles when it comes to tech stuff.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you're bringing back value. I love that. There are, first off, someone just highlighted something really great, and they reminded us to go sponsor you. Not to embarrass you, but yes, I want to actually highlight, so y'all like can't put comments in the chat, unfortunately, due to security, but definitely go to github.com/sponsors/Aiden Y by, I hope I'm even saying that right, but
Yeah.
basically go sponsor this project. This is really amazing, really impressive. They have a goal of $12,000 per month, I'm assuming, so that you can be able to pay the engineers and be able to like support the rest of the project. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's 1,200. No, not
Oh,
12,000.
sorry.
That's a crazy amount.
I was not even. I went to the tab really quick. I saw the word 12. I mean the number 12. I'm like 12,000. 1,200. No, even if it was 12,000, get that money.
Yeah.
But okay, my bad, y'all. But 1,200, a way more achievable goal. So go ahead and sponsor that because this is really amazing work. A couple of people are asking about like what are the disadvantages of you using Million, if any.
Yeah. Probably longer compile times. We use a compiler, so there is a compiler step. Sometimes you'll get bigger bundle sizes because you have to include Million alongside React. Million's pretty small. It's like less than 4 kilobytes. And let's see. I'm kind of struggling to figure out, like there are like some slight disadvantages. It's not very stable on Next.js. It works on Next.js. It's just like some issues with integration. Other than that, those are like some of the issues we have.
Okay. Yeah, that's super honest, right? So compile time might be a little bit, the bundle size might be just a little bit bigger, but like not by much. And then people should know about Next.js. Okay, someone said, is there a documentation for it already? We are showing it on the screen. Feel free to like zoom out a little bit so they can see, but there is some really great documentation here. Yeah, so go ahead to I should probably put it up, Million.js. Or Million.dev, actually.
Yes.
Screen. Give me a second. Okay. While I'm putting that up, though, I have another question for you. And my question, this is maybe a little bit of a hard one, but what are your thoughts on how we can improve diversity in open source? I think already, like you all are both young. That's already like example of some level of diversity, but a lot of times it's people who are more established, maybe people who are white and male and stuff like that. So what are y'all's thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I have a bunch of friends who are in the equity like ASB at my high school, and so I get to talk to them a lot about this. There's a lot of, frankly, there's so many like white men in tech. It's crazy. It's like you're guaranteed, like any tech conference, you're guaranteed to like be hit with like a swarm. And like I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily. It's just like that's really sad for our industry. And so I personally haven't done much in terms of this thing, but it's something that's really important. It's something that we need to improve on for Million.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably you're still at the start, and I think you're starting off in the right way. I think that's probably how it happens. Is like people maybe a white guy brought their other white guy friend on, but I think you have more of like a global reach within Million. What about you, Toby? What are your thoughts on like how else we could improve diversity within open source?
I pretty much like this question because it's one of the things that I find so interesting about open source, because traditionally, or would I say innately in open source, there is actually like there's this embrace to diversity already. Because remember the first open source project that I worked on, and that was with Francesco, probably know him from Twitter. I maintained this website. I maintained the website for the community. I still do till now. I've just been like stuck up with work and stuff, but I still do till now. So, in welcoming me then, pretty early on in my career to like maintain this, he gave me an opportunity, and that was like that was amazing because I was like, oh, shocked. I was like, why would somebody that does not even know me give me such an opportunity? And it's crazy. And you guys like GitHub even do some other stuff like GitHub stars and having GitHub campus experts and stuff like that. So things like that actually do give me like good vibes when it comes to like diversity. In tech, we shouldn't. I don't think when it comes to open source, there already is that structure to accept diversity already, but maybe it just needs to be improved in some aspects. Yeah, I love that people like I love that GitHub is doing this, and open source just like traditionally embraces diversity, no discrimination. At least I haven't experienced any up until now, and yeah, maybe my open source career is pretty young though, so I can't say. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I relate with you on that. And I feel like maybe I gave some people in the comments a little bit of whiplash with this question because I like asked one thing and then switched to this. So I'll just give a little bit of context. The reason why I asked that is because similar to what Toby said, open source gives so many different like opportunities to people, right? And I asked that to just make sure that as open source maintainers and as an open source community, we're making sure that other people also get these different opportunities, right? Because there's so many. This is an opportunity to work with people globally and help them. And I think it gives access to people learning about different technologies, networking with other people, giving them different job opportunities. So it's just a way to help people level up their careers, and that's why I asked that. Really quickly, there's a question here, and I think this is an easy question to answer because it's an open source project. They're saying it's one thing to integrate a new feature, it's another to maintain it. Is there a community constantly updating and maintaining Million at this moment?
Yeah, we do. We have a team of 10 strong, 15 strong now. I don't know. And honestly, there's a hotline. If you go to million.dev/hotline, you can schedule a call with me anytime. Literally, I'll hop on a call with you and I'll fix your issues. So our release cycle is pretty fast. We release like 1 to 2 releases per day at least. We have a bunch of people who work on issues. Our issue count is relatively low to our size. Open issue count. So we're happy to support you anytime and fix any problems you have.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Go ahead.
Also, we have like a Discord you can join. It's just million.dev/chat. It takes you to the Discord.
Awesome. Yeah. So go to the hotline, go to the Discord. This is an established project, y'all. Don't worry. I didn't bring on a project that's not established, but it's very established. It has a community behind it. They have support. They're working on the pull request and the issues daily. They're putting in a lot of work to this. I guess somebody was asking, someone was asking what app do you use on those peering calls? Maybe Zoom?
I use Google Meet. Zoom is such a nightmare for me. I hate Zoom. But yeah, Google Meet works just fine.
Awesome. Okay. And then what if people who are watching want to contribute to this project? How can they contribute? What type of contributions are you looking for?
Yeah, we actually post open source bounties, and I can show on our issues. So with like, for example, this specific issue, if you want to integrate Million to open source, you can like
see it. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I think
sorry,
maybe
y'all.
No worries. My bad.
No,
I'm
I was
doing a
just
lot.
testing you guys. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so for example, this one, if you want to integrate Million.js into open source, you can, just contribute there. We do cross repo issues, and so we've collaborated with a lot of other open source projects. We also offer bounties, so like if you complete an issue, you get some amount of money. For contributing, we have a contributing guide as GitHub recommends. We have a bunch of people that if you want to ask can literally hop on call with you and just help set up the repo for you. We also have good first issues, although I think a lot of them have been taken already. Yeah, like for example, this one, we have a lot of like pretty advanced tech. I probably need to work on the good first issues, but if you're interested in any of the issues, just say hi. I'm interested. How can I set this up?
Awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, Toby. What was you saying?
No, I was just agreeing to what he said, and the bounties thing was something that Aiden actually did bring up, and I was surprised as to how that really did motivate contributors and bring people up to like to work on this, because I when I discovered like, okay, this could actually be something that could actually be like a reward to people that feel like, okay, it actually benefits something, because working in open source, I know it's very difficult. Where I stay in Nigeria, like power is kind of like an issue, and getting good internet. So you have to like to sustain that kind of things, you need some cash and stuff. And then these bounties are like an incentive for that. So yeah, there are lots of bounties that contributors can work on, and maybe share with a friend and work on it together, or maybe with the team, just to like fix issues and stuff. So yeah, as it's a very good stuff to bring contributors on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I when I saw that you do the bounties, I'm like, this is actually one good solution for DEI because one of the reasons that stopped me from contributing to open source at one point is I just didn't have the time. I had other responsibilities and I was like, I'm not going to be able to spend time doing things for free. So if you do have that ability to give money or some type of incentive, that is great. Something that can benefit them while they benefit you. Um, and then I've seen more questions on how can one contribute to this open source project. You kind of touched on it, but it will be hard to describe on stream exactly all the steps. So I know Aiden and Toby have a contributing guide. You can go to the like repository for Million, and you can read the contributing guide. It should walk you through all the steps. And like Aiden said, pick up a ticket, or go to a ticket and write a comment that says, "Hi, I want to." Contributed to this. Oh, and you're showing the contributing guide right
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
it's pretty comprehensive. It should be pretty good to set up.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, it tells you how to set it up. It tells you what to do to be able to pick up a new project. Okay. My other question to you all is, do you have any advice on how people can gain more contributors and sponsors or even users for their project? How do you get to make your project popular? Because I have seen like on
Mm.
Twitter, your project's really picking up in popularity.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of like tricks, right? Like you can invite people as collaborators and when someone contributes or just like engage people or recruit people. But like I think the main thing that really resonates with people is you have to have like as corny as it sounds, and it is very corny, but like you need to have like a vision for your repository that people really like resonate with. Um, you can obviously motivate people with like bounties and whatever, but people contribute or people do things because they think what they're doing is meaningful. And so giving people ownership over or the feeling of ownership over certain things, as well as people really, wanting to actually, push the vision forward. In this case, Million, it's like how to make websites accessible for everyone is something that probably will help you in the long term.
I love that. I never even thought of that. Having that vision for your project and people seeing that vision, they'll get more excited and be like, I want to contribute and help you get to that goal. That's awesome. Any thoughts for you, Toby, as a developer advocate?
Yeah, for my own like little stuff that I want to share. I feel like the fact that Aiden does this in public is something that actually does enforce what you mentioned about a vision and people seeing it, because by doing it in public, it's like bringing everybody together and telling them that, okay, I'm doing this, and this is where I'm at, this is where we are headed, but this is what I can do currently with what I've done. So that sort of like gives people, inclusion and access to what your progress is at the moment. It makes them feel included and makes them feel part of a journey. So that learning in public and doing everything in public does give the vibe. And yeah, I like that a lot because I'm a big fan of learning in public. That was pretty much how I went through last year. Improving myself as a developer because I started tech last year, just like March last year. That was when I went to a bootcamp and started. So yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Wow, and amazing to see your journey so far. And yeah, the point you brought up, I think I maybe say this every open source Friday at this point, is like learning in public is a form of like authentic marketing for your project. Because like let's say like Aiden starts Million, he starts tweeting about, hey, just worked on this, just published this, oh, I'm having a challenge with this. People start to see that growth, they start to get invested, they want to help, they're excited that you went from just learning how to even build a virtual DOM to making a virtual DOM that makes React faster. So that's really important. That's a good point. If people want to go out and like build their own projects, that is one way to get other people invested and want to go along for the ride with you.
Mhm.
Awesome. And let's see if there's any other questions in the chat before I move to some of the fun questions. Let's see. Okay. People are still just asking what kind of like frameworks they can combine it with. Is it compatible with TypeScript by any chance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. I think some people are just excited to go ahead and like contribute to your project. They're really excited because you're both early in your careers and they want to be part of this. They're asking, can you put this with V and React and TypeScript? I think the answer is yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Toby said you were using V when you discovered this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. I was just like, affirming that, like, yeah, I did testing out like with the Beats project, and yeah, it works in TypeScript too very well. And yeah, maybe we should actually have more demos in TypeScript to like show people, yeah, okay, this is how.
Oh,
navigate
we should
things.
talk about this actually.
Yeah.
We have the kitchen sink. So we have we're looking for a lot of contributors to help work on oh, that's not the right one. Sorry. This is awkward.
All right. That happened.
There we go. Yeah, we're working on like a bunch of React plus Million examples. So it's super easy to contribute. Just have a bunch of examples. If you want to like put something on your, get a like green box chart, then it's a good way to do it. Yeah, and this is all in TypeScript. So I think that helps with your question, Toby.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that people can contribute to as well.
Yeah,
Awesome.
for sure.
Cool. And I actually do see one interesting question, and then we can move to the fun questions. And this person is asking, do you foresee large companies would eventually use this product? Do you expect to monetize this eventually via license type scheme? And yeah.
Yeah. Some companies are using it. Wise, which is a marketing company, uses it in their web view. Text HQ is also recently using it. There's a bunch that are already using production, so it's a little bit scary. But also, yeah, there's people using production. If you have any questions, it should be somewhat production ready.
Awesome. That's exciting that companies are really using this. All right, another question of people just wondering, what frameworks does this work with? Someone asked, React Native?
Not yet, but we have like 40 other requests for the same thing. Yeah, people are really want to React Native, but we're still working on it.
Okay, awesome. Cool. Maybe in the future one day if you all have the bandwidth. We're working on a lot. Okay, so I want to move into some of the fun questions. They're not really like technical questions, just something for the audience to get to know y'all. All right, so what is the first programming language that you learned?
For me, I think it was Scratch, but also like hot take, HTML is a programming language. So I'm gonna say that.
I think it is too. Go off. All right. What about you, Toby?
Yeah. So for me, I got into school absolutely having no idea what programming was. I just knew I wanted to go like computer science. I thought we'd just be using computers like in the lab and making stuff and playing games and stuff. That was pretty much what I thought. But like in my first year, second semester, yeah, we got to use C, C as, and that became officially my first programming language. C, yeah, it was C. Yeah, so
Nice.
then, yeah.
That's a hard one to start with, but I get you. I think for me, when I went into learning to code, I was like, oh, what is it? I know how to use a computer, like whatever. And like first, I was like going the self-taught route, and I taught myself SQL, and I was like, I don't get how this makes anything. I was just taking things in databases and putting them back. I was so confused. Um, but yeah, that's awesome. Okay. If money wasn't an issue, how would you ideally spend your time? Whether it's like job related or not job related.
Oh, I would do this. Yeah, hands down, no
Oh,
question.
awesome. Yeah, that's good. This is your passion. What about you, Toby?
If money wasn't an issue, yeah, one thing that mine is sort of like different because I like doing I like talking about tech a lot, and I like taking tech to places where tech isn't. So there's something with me and the Maghreb region in Africa, and if you go to places like Morocco, yeah, we actually have somebody on the team that's from Morocco, and places like Tunisia and places like that. So I enjoy the vibe there and stuff like that. And I feel like the tech community there isn't that huge as compared to sub-Saharan Africa, which is something that I really enjoy. So I feel like going to places like that and just traveling the region, spreading the good news of what technology is, or maybe starting first from where I am, just spreading those because the tech community is saturated here in Nigeria, but we still need some people to know about it. And yeah, that's it for me, pretty much. Maghreb region. Yeah.
That's awesome. Exposing more people. Yeah. And I see, I hope you don't mind me calling you out, Eric. You said HTML is not, you think it's not a programming language. I disagree with you. I learned HTML as well. And if you notice the trend, there's a lot of projects are going back to focusing on HTML, like Astro and Enhance. So just gonna put that out there. Just a little education. Okay. So this is another question I asked because I had Simon Willison on, and he talked about like all the different things he learns in a day. So it might be a hard question, but what did you learn today? Whether it's tech related or not. Like you could have been like, I learned how to fry an egg or something.
I'll let Toby go first on this one.
Okay.
So what I learned today. So yeah, funny thing happened today because I was trying to I was like trying to change something in my JavaScript file because I do like I work as mid-level also in a local company, but it's remote. So I was trying to like do something in my file, and then the issue was pretty much a spelling issue, and then it was right there with my variable name. So I was like debugging, and I was going from console back to browser, and I almost went crazy. And then somebody like came to me because like we have like this program here where I also like teach people web development as well. Yeah, I do that at times. So and then one of the kids came to me and he just looked at my code and then he pointed out something to me. And then normally some people would say, would probably like, shush the kid and I'd be like, shoo. I was like, and then he was like, oh, look at this variable name here. There's an S here, but there isn't an S here. And I was like, oh, wow. That kind of like blew my mind. And yeah, so he just sort of like strengthened the fact that everybody does have opinions and no matter how big or small somebody is, your opinions do matter, and it can actually help somebody or save somebody's life at times. So, yeah, that was one of the things I learned. Not looking down on people. Yeah, something I learned more about
I
today.
love that. That's a really good lesson to have learned. Let me see what I learned. I learned a little bit. There's a package called Web5.js or something like that. I learned a little bit about it. What was it? I'm skeptical about decentralization, but I was curious about the package a little bit, and it seems pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
okay. Other question: how do you pronounce the word GIF? Is it GIF with a hard G or GIF with a soft G?
Honestly, I say GIF, which is probably even worse than the two.
Wait, you spell the word out?
Yeah, I spell
I've
it out.
never heard that.
I mean, GIF sounds right, I think.
Okay. So, I mean, however you say it, doesn't have. There's no right or wrong. What about you, Toby?
I just call it GIF because it makes sense to me.
Yeah, you say GIF. We all three say different stuff, like GIF, GIF, and then you say, and I say GIF. Ollie was, I think, relating with Toby, who say, talking about like the bug that you had, and Ollie said, my team spent 5 hours on fixing a JS syntax. They were passing the object with an equal sign instead of. I've done that before. It's so embarrassing. And then someone said they learned about matrices in CSS with the matrix and calc
Oh
function.
my gosh.
Yeah, CSS is getting advanced.
What?
Yeah, it has.
Oh my god! Wow.
Linear algebra in CSS.
Oh my god! All right, and then my last but not least last but not least question: what is your favorite Beyonce song?
Oh, that's a great question. Cuff It by Beyonce is my favorite Beyonce song.
Good choice. With the dance and everything. I don't even know how to do it. They'd be like, I don't know. Go ahead, Toby.
I have to watch this video.
Mine is more of a classic of ours because as a child, my dad used to make us listen to a lot of American 90s, 80s, and early 2000 songs. So I know most of the artists from those eras and stuff. My song of Beyonce that I pretty much vibe with and like a lot is this one that okay, if I remember the title, maybe I'll sing. It's like, you must not know about me, you must not know about me.
Yeah, irreplaceable.
Yeah, irreplaceable. Yeah, exactly.
Like, to the left.
That's
yeah.
the song, yeah. So that was my favorite Beyonce song.
That's not 90s. Oh my god, maybe I'm really much older than you guys. I was 10 when that came out. I think it was like 2010 or something. I love it. I thought you were going to say like a Destiny's Child song, but that's a really to the left. I mean, Irreplaceable is a good song, but it's not. Okay. Now I feel like an old lady. Okay. Somebody asked a really interesting question. What's your favorite Bollywood movie?
The name is Yash. Oh, so Yash, me picking a favorite Bollywood movie would be might be a disrespect. But as of now, my favorite Bollywood movie is Race, and Race like Raees, and that was by Shah Rukh Khan. It was this movie like I've forgotten the town. It was about Shah Rukh Khan and like portraying him as this kingpin that was dealing with that was like bootlegging drinks and stuff like that. So that's pretty much my favorite movie so far. I haven't found any that beats it, but yeah, Reese. I don't know how it's pronounced. I think it's Reese, Raees. So yeah.
Awesome. I don't know Bollywood movies, but that sounds great. All right, y'all. We have reached near the end. I wanted to double check if there's anything you all wanted to highlight or promote, but I want to encourage people to go to Million.dev if they want to look at the documentation, or if they want links to be able to join the Discord or to be able to contribute to the project. Also check out Million.dev kitchen sink, which is written in TypeScript, I believe, and a good way to contribute. And then also go ahead and sponsor Aiden on GitHub so that they can continue working on Million. But is there anything else that I should highlight for you all or promote?
Yeah, shout out Rizal. Check her out on Twitter or X, I guess. Check out Toby. Toby Solutions on Twitter. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I did not expect that. But yeah, all of our handles are in our little like I don't know what underneath. But basically I've seen a lot of comments of people asking like similar questions. If you rewind and rewatch this on LinkedIn or YouTube, you will get the answers. Because I see some people that tuned in a little bit later, but we talked about like how Million.js works, or how Million works. We talked about like how to implement it into your projects and how you can contribute. So thank you so much, y'all. I had a
I,
really great
I have
time. Oh, go
I have
ahead.
like two questions though. Yeah, I have like two questions. So my questions are regarding how the GitHub Stars program works and how GitHub Campus Experts works. Because I
Oh,
actually did apply last year and I got rejected.
oh
It was
no.
heartbreaking, but I still felt good because like because like I felt okay, okay, fine, we'll do this again. So I reapplied this year, but I was trying to understand like how was the process like, because for my uni we had like two last year, we had like two campus experts, and yeah, and they are leaving school now. So I was trying like just to inquire how the process works and how does the GitHub stars work, because I know that one
Yeah.
works based off of nominations and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really part of either of those processes. I have probably more knowledge on how the GitHub Stars works a little bit more. And yes, you do get the nomination process. And I think a lot of the only reason I know this part is 'cause sometimes they reach out to me and they're like, this person applied. Have you seen them create content around GitHub? So I think a lot of what they are looking for is like, does this person have like blog posts or um, um, videos or some kind of content around how GitHub works or some of the tooling. So a lot of people that get accepted, maybe they wrote a blog post on GitHub Copilot, or they wrote a blog post on how to use GitHub Actions, stuff like that. I will look into it for you though, and figure out like how you can get in. Cool.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Awesome. I had a really great time. Actually, I know we're a little bit over, but one person asked a question on what is the name behind Million?
Yeah, two reasons. Number one, we have a mascot called Mill the Lion, somewhere here.
At the top. Cool.
He's really cute.
Aw.
But also, I mean, the initial goal was to make React 1,000,000 times faster, but we couldn't get there, so now we have this thing.
You made it 70% faster. That's still really great. All right, y'all. I had a really great time chatting with you. Thank you so much to the comments for being really engaging. I had a good time. And I learned a lot, as I always do. See you all next Friday for another Open Source Friday. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.